here we are in the middle of all kinds of racial tension and problems. This goes back as far as this country goes back. The fact that the white people have wanted to remove color from the country. They did it starting with the Indians when they first got here, and they've continued on ever since. But that brings us to today, and Trumpster's talking about wanting to put troops into the cities and whatnot, federal troops. There's a problem with that. First of all, these guys have very expensive automatic weapons. That's number one. Number two, what happens if they decide to take a side? I mean, you've already seen the police and the National Guard taking knees with the protesters to try and relieve the stress. What happens if the military walks in and they have to take sides? Open fire on fellow Americans or turn around and walk away. This could cause serious problems in the military. It could also cause civil war. The Trumpster never thinks about anything or anybody but himself. Right now, all he wants to do is be reelected. And he knows that if the majority of the people in this country can get to the polls, he will not be reelected. That's why he's against the mail-in ballot, because that allows many, many, many more people than would be willing to vote. If you want to get rid of this clown, and I do, short of, asking for a revolution, if you want to do it legally and what have you, then you got to get out and vote. You got to go. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to vote because I'm having problems with the mail service and everything else here right now. The mail service and even DHL are pretty much non-existent. I've lost 2 credit cards that were supposed to have been sent to me in the mail already, so I don't think I'm going to be able to vote. But it doesn't mean I have to keep my mouth shut and can't say to you people out there, listen, you got to get out there, you got to vote, you got to get rid of this creep. He is the worst president the United States has ever had in my lifetime. Even little Georgie, who at 9/11 shit his pants. I mean, still, he came out he came out and did some fairly good things, nothing over spectacular, but he wasn't crazy like this man is. Part of the problem with the police is because of 9/11. The training that was going on before that, police officers, National Guard received riot control training. Now with 9/11, they're not in even crowd containment. There's some crowd containment, but most of it is aggressive training. It's pursuit and capture. That's a whole different outlook on the world, You got a lot of guys that came back from that war, as police officers and whatnot. They were over there in the National Guard. They came back. They've seen 12-year-old girls, 9-year-old girls with bomb vests on, blowing up their friends. And they've heard stories about this. You can't really fault these guys for reacting badly in this situation. They don't know what to do. They're never, if they're trained properly, they'll respond to orders, but they're not being trained right now for riot control. Riot control is a whole different ballgame. You got to be able to stand there, not move, let them throw rocks at you, let them spit on you, let them call you all kinds of names without showing any reaction. They're not doing that. They're reacting violently. They're throwing the rocks back. They're charging forward. They're being aggressive. That's not a way to control a riot. That's a way to get the riot turned into a larger catastrophe than it already is. It's going to take a while for this to all cool down, and I hope it does. But I hope people remember stories like the one where the pastor was tear gassed and thrown out of his church so that Trump could take a picture in front of it. Now, I'm not sure about the tear gas point. I never heard him say that. I did hear him say that he was asked to remove himself so that the Trumpster could have his photo op. That's just horrible. That's all Nazism. That's fascism. That's just ridiculous. Anything, and you can see Trump is a real idiot. I mean, if you disagree with him, he's going to come after you. I mean, if he actually sees these videos, he's going to come after me. Which doesn't bother me. I made Nixon's shit list. I can make Trump's shit list too. It's no big deal. at the difference in presidents over the years, how they reacted to situations. Eisenhower sent troops to Alabama for segregation. I don't think he really enjoyed it. I don't think he really wanted to, but they were able to move in, and all they did was stand there. They didn't get involved in any crowd control. Both sides moved away from that because they were afraid of the troops. That doesn't exist anymore. People aren't afraid of these guys if they come in now. That's why most of the army's kept overseas, so it doesn't take sides. If this continues, and he uses the military is going to be forced to take sides. Are they going to fire on women and children? Are they going to wield clubs against women and children if they're present? Or are they going to sit back and wait? Are they going to be responsible and sit down? And you're forcing these guys to take a side. That's not something I want to do. That's not something I want to see them have to do. That's just a horrible situation. And you've got a president that if you disagree with him, you're out. And what's his name? Everett? I have the name. Wait a minute. Let me find his name here. Mark Esper. He decided that he didn't want the troops in, and he disagreed with the president. And now I understand that they're looking for a replacement for him already. You can't disagree with this asshole. That's what Hitler was like. You can't disagree with somebody, with a dictator. He doesn't want constructive advice. That's not the sign of a good business leader. When a good business leader that he claims to be, and that people that support him claim he is, they don't want anything. They just don't want just yes men around them. They want constructive ideas. They don't want people to totally disagree with them every 5 seconds, but they want people that are willing to come through and say, listen, I don't think this is going to work. Why don't we try this? Or this is working. Let's give it a little bit more of a chance before we go crazy and send federal troops into every city in the country. First of all, we don't have that many. They're all over the world. What are you going to do? Take them out of Afghanistan? Take them out of every military base in the world, and they just leave the equipment there unprotected? Come on, man. Let's get some sense into this situation. This is totally ridiculous. I was in the Newark riots. I saw them. I talked to people down there. I drove around in Newark. We had sniper on the corner. I lived in East Orange. We had a sniper on the corner from my house, about 120 yards from my house. Jeeps pulling up with 50 caliber machine guns. People are still in the building. Those buildings that they're talking about were constructed way back in the I guess 40s and 50s. These buildings, you open on them with a 50 caliber machine gun, you're going to level it. If it's a wood structure, it's going to go through 3 or 4, maybe travel for a block before it's stopped. Okay, this is ridiculous. You can't be doing this stuff. Right now, the police are armed with shields and clubs. You bring the military in, I'm not so sure that first of all, we don't have enough military police to go to every city, so these are going to be untrained soldiers. These are going to be combat-trained soldiers that are told to go in there and protect certain areas. You think if they're told to protect a post office, and they start throwing bricks and start marching towards the post office, the troops aren't going to fire if they're armed? Man, I don't know whether they will or won't. If they run, that's not a good thing either. Then again, like I'm saying, he acts like he wants this civil war, not just a race war, a civil war, based upon race or based upon anything, and it's all because he wants to be reelected again. It's the more chaos and the more destructive behavior by people, the more he comes across as what the country needs, and man, they don't need him. Right now, I don't think he could get elected tomorrow. I don't think he could get elected garbage collector tomorrow. But as time goes on and his shit comes out and he keeps saying all this garbage that isn't true and that nobody believes, but they believe, who knows what will happen in November? Who knows if he's going to try and do something with the election in November, postpone it or move it. I'm not sure, but I read someplace that maybe the states can do that. They can move the date. I'm not sure that they really can in a federal election. But the one thing that's in the Constitution says that on January 20th, he's gone. If he isn't elected, he's gone. Whether the election's postponed or not, he's gone. and it'll move to Pelosi if that's the case. And I don't really want her as the president of the United States either. She's, on the verge of senility, I think. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Like I say, I don't live there. I don't have the money to go back and live there. Quite frankly, the United States is very, very expensive for my pension plans and everything like that. So I'll be down here probably for the rest of my life, which God knows how long that's going to be. So, please, people, if you're going to go out and protest, if you are going to go do the right thing, just be careful, okay? As a rule, looters are not part of the protest. Looters are the criminal element in the city that tags along and uses the protest as a cover for their stealing and robbing and what have you. You got to find yourselves a leader, okay? The protesters need to find themselves a leader, like a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X, somebody doesn't have to be black, but somebody who's got a voice that can be heard and is eloquent and intelligent. They need to have that, because you're not dealing with an elegant or intelligent individual. You're dealing with a moron. So maybe we can show a little bit more class. Anyhow, that's about it for today. I'll be talking to you real soon. Take